Hey everyone, Kev Muldooney here, and what I've got here is the 8Bitdo NES30 Pro. This was kindly sent to me by GearBest. Very kind of them to do that. It retails on GearBest at $42.99, free shipping around the world. So many thanks to them. Now, I'm sure you all know about 8Bitdo. They do a lot of kind of NES and SNES inspired retro style controllers, and they're getting quite a good reputation. I reviewed their little tiny controller, which is quite cool. This one has a very good reputation as well. So on the back of the box it says that this is a NES 30th anniversary gamepad edition. There is one that's styled like the Famicom, so if you prefer the Famicom styling system then you can go with that. Dual mode support, Bluetooth and touchscreen, support Bluetooth and USB, 480 mAh battery, firmware upgradable, compatible with iOS, iCade, Android, Mac OS and Windows, programmable keys, full buttons, classic D-pad with 4 shoulder button design. Supports iOS, Android, Windows, Mac OS, examples all there, phones and different computers. USB cable is 1.2 meters. Now, the good thing about this is if you look at their sales page, you can see the compatibility. Works with Windows, Android, Mac OS, Steam, the Switch. That's really good. A lot of people are going to use this for the Switch. Works with Raspberry Pi and RetroPie. It works with the Wii and the Wii U, and it works with the PS3. That is very, very flexible. You can see it there. Weighs 290 grams, and it can play for 18 hours on a 1-2 hour charging time. So let's get this open, and we'll see what it's like. So on that side, you've got the little kind of, I don't know what it is, like Pac-Man or something. And here is the controller. This, wow. It's really nice box they've put it in. So it's got the NES styling system, but it's kind of bizarre, really. It's kind of some sort of NES SNES hybrid, really, when you look at it. Now, as far as shoulder buttons, it's not got like 2 shoulder buttons the way that, you know, like the PlayStation controllers would, the Xbox style controllers would have, with, you know, like R1, R2, R1, R2, like that. It seems to have L1, L2, R2, R1, and then you've got B, A, Y, X, select start. You've got the little thumbsticks here. D-pad seems nice. Thumbsticks, okay. Not as good as something on a PlayStation or Xbox One, but I mean, this is a smaller controller. At the bottom, you've got power and what looks like some sort of Wi-Fi button. So, yeah, first impressions, looks quite cool. See if we've got any power here. Do we? Might have to charge it up. So what I'm going to do is test this out. I'll try and connect it to a system, probably my PS3 and maybe my mobile, and we'll see how it plays. Before we do that, I got ahead of myself. Let's see what else is in the box. So we've got the manual, NES30 Pro. Oh, it's quite nice how this is all set up. We've got the charging cable. That looks like good quality. Micro B. And I believe this is a keyring. If I can get it out. There we go. So this is a little keyring. It says 8Bitdo FC30. And it says everything old is new again. I mean, I'm not a big person for keyrings, but I suppose it's a nice addition. So, I'm going to try this out and we'll see how it performs. So guys, I have been spending a lot of time trying to get this working with my PS3. It's not that simple. Now you can see here that I'm trying to register a Bluetooth device, and you know, it's fairly easy to set it up like that. You just power it on, it will be detected, which you'll see here. I'm using my other controller to move that around there. Now, the problem is, now this is registered, right? The problem is now though, is that although the this controller is registered, the buttons were all, well, I mean, this is the second or third time I'm trying to do this, but the buttons were all kind of messed around. They weren't, you know, right, we'll find a game here. I'll find a fighting game. So, let me see what I've got here. There we go, Marvel. Right, so the buttons weren't assigned properly. Now, apparently, what you need to do is go to your computer and you compare it. You plug in this controller, you plug in this controller, you do it at the same time and use their software to pair it together, and then you can reassign the buttons. I spent a lot of time trying to get that to work. It didn't work. So one thing I'm doing at this point was, okay, I'll go and do it with my RetroPie. But having quickly looked at the RetroPie, there's a lot of people having problems with that as well. So I'll quickly show you the problem here. You know, I can go down to options, go into controls. So this controller, triangle, square, change that to circle if I want, put that to X, put that to L1, put that to R1. You can move it around easily. Now this one, look at this, right? So that would be square, you know, if it's assigned properly. It's square in L1. That should be triangle. See assist R1. That's coming up R2. A is coming up X and square. B should be X. It's coming up X and circle. Or maybe, I mean, so that should just be X. Maybe that is X, I don't know. Right, that one's unassigned, so it should just be X. It is. So that one's triangle. That's fine. Maybe it's assigned now. We could be in luck. Yeah, no, it's not. That should be circle, and it's going up square. That should be square. It's going up circle. So the buttons, they're kind of messed around a little bit. So that makes navigating and things like that a little bit of a pain as well. I didn't mean to go back there because I'm the wrong buttons. Now, for whatever reason, that isn't moving. I think because this one is controlling it. Right, this is this is the problem. Because the buttons aren't assigned properly, you know, I'm trying to figure out which one's circle. It's flipping pages. I don't which one is circle. I don't know. So it is possible to do this, but I tried to flash it back and update the firmware. I tried to, you know, move the firmware back to an older version. I can't get it working. I tried to assign the buttons using their software. I can't get that working either. From what I've read, this works out the box quite well with tablets and Windows and your phone and things like that. But when you're attaching it to, you know, the Wii U, the Switch, the PS3 and the RetroPie and things like that, you need to do a little bit of firmware installing. You know, maybe I've just not figured it out yet, but it does seem a little bit of a pain. They've not got the software sorted out yet. And for me, that's a negative. You know, when you buy a controller like this, if they're saying that they support certain systems, it should be a user-friendly kind of setup. But the software, it is a pain. I had to install a lot of different apps and things like that. So for me, that's a negative. Maybe I just haven't did it right. I realise there is a solution. It's just not a user-friendly one. It is a pain to set up. So that is a little bit disappointing. So I had a bit of bad luck with the PS3. You know, it did connect very easily, but there's a lot of messing around to try and get the buttons to work, and I couldn't get it. Honestly, spent about 30-40 minutes doing that and just couldn't get it. I didn't want to spend too much time doing that. Now, it's very easy to connect it to your phone. You click power. I'll turn it off for a second. I'll show you how easy it is. You hold power, it'll come on, but then if you keep holding it in, the light should flash and they'll start blinking quickly. But you can see here, mine here, 8Bitdo NES30 Pro, mine's is already attached. So yes, the classic Dan the Man. I've been using this a lot just to kind of show you. It's a very simple game. You can use the D-pad. It's only got 2 buttons. And oh, I've turned it off. There we go. For some reason, it's these ones, A and X. I don't know if you can change that or not. So, connects very easily and it works, right? So, the real question here is, what is this like to play? Well, it's not a terrible controller, right? But I'll be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed in some ways, because essentially what this is a retro style controller, but they've tried to kind of tap on like modern buttons and things like that to try and make it appeal to, you know, modern consoles, modern gamers and things like that. Now you look at a PS3 controller, which is, I still think is one of the best controllers. The PEGA one that I reviewed the other day, this is an excellent controller. I love this. And you can see this is a big controller. It's got all the buttons. It's got the thumbsticks, big thumbsticks. These thumbsticks, they work, but they just kind of feel cheap. I don't know, they just don't feel as good as the iPegas. They don't feel as good as the Sony. They don't feel as good as something like, you know, like a Nintendo controller. These are big you know, like analog, what do you call it? Is it analog? Is that what you call it? Thumbsticks? They're big and they work well. These, I don't know, I mean, I realise they have had to sacrifice the size in order to fit it into a smaller controller. This is a portable controller, no doubt about it. I love the retro style. I'm a big NES fan. I'm a big SNES fan as well. But, you know, when you're holding the D-pad, which is what you'd be using most games for, I don't know, the buttons feel like if the D-pad was in the middle here and the buttons were in the middle here, it'd be more comfortable to hold. Because of these thumbsticks here, the D-pad, it is clickable, it is the D-pad feels great, but it just feels like everyone's pushed up a little bit, so your hand's a little bit more like this. I realise sacrifices have to be made. But the other thing here is you've added in R1, R2, L2, L1, and really if they just stuck to this format, 6 buttons, perfect SNES controller style, you'd have a bigger button here. The way it is just now, you've got R1 and L1 there, and in order to do the other buttons, you're like this. It's just impractical, and I can show you that in action, because in Modern Combat 5, when you shoot, you have to use R2. Now, R2 makes sense in this kind of controller because you've got it like that. Your controller has been disconnected. Right, so you use the thumbsticks with this. The thumbsticks work okay, not amazing, but see where I'm using my R2? Like my hand needs to come round like that. It just doesn't feel natural to me. It just feels a little bit awkward. The thumbsticks as well feels a little bit squashed, and you can see the way that I'm kind of holding my hand here. It just feels a little bit weird. Now, if you had to switch to, like, you know, both controllers, both buttons, sorry, like if you have to switch between R2 and R1, you'll be doing this. That just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's different from like R1 and R2 because the buttons are behind each other. So, you know, you can do that and then that makes sense. But the positioning of the shoulder buttons, it just kind of ruins it for me. So, as far as I'm disappointed. I mean, I think you can tell that by now, guys. So, I think this had a lot of potential, but I think they've messed up in a few areas. I love this kind of like glowing light round it. It's quite cool the way they've got it. It's cool they've got the pairing button, the power button underneath away from the controller area. You don't have, you know, like this one, they've got the buttons here, which is impractical. But the thumbsticks for me, because they've tried to keep everything in this smaller controller, they've kind of sacrificed the quality of it. And, you know, you've got these kind of cheap feeling. I mean, they're clickable, they do move around, but you have sacrificed a good, thumbstick for something that's smaller. And the D-pad and the ABYX buttons, they just feel a little bit higher. And these L2 and R2 buttons, I mean, L2 and R2 are really put in for games like that, like Call of Duty, like Modern Combat and things like that. Those are the games that those 2 extra buttons are necessary for, but they're kind of impractical. You know, I realise I don't know, like ideally you would have had the R2 button like here, like that, R1 and then like that. Maybe something like that would have worked. I don't know. It's not a terrible controller. It certainly isn't a terrible controller. I can see why people like it as well. It's got a cool retro style. It does work with a lot of devices. I realise I didn't get it working with my PS3, but it does work with a lot of devices. It works, I mean, it connected to my phone in like half a second. It was instant. And it will be the same with the Windows computer. It will be the same with other devices. For certain systems like the Wii, for the PS3, you will need to kind of change the firmware or, you know, change the drivers inside it to work. That is kind of understandable, I guess. But I just feel like the sacrifices being made to accommodate the thumbsticks and the L2 and R2 buttons have basically ruined the shoulder buttons and have ruined the D-pad and the main buttons. If they had just kept it the way that it should be, you know, these in the middle, I don't know. The controller would have been bigger, but yeah, for me, it's could have been a classic, but it's a little bit flawed. They have come out with a lot of other controllers, and I suspect they've recognised that they kind of missed the mark a little bit with this controller. Would I recommend this controller? I think some people will like it because of the retro style, but I think 8Bitdo have come out with better controllers and they've addressed these issues that are in this. This is thin, it's portable, it's got good gameplay time, you know, like 18 hours or whatever. Charges quickly in 2 hours. It's light, it's got a cool design. If it's just a couple of quick games you want to play, then this is probably fine. But I think, you know, if you're sitting at home, this makes more sense to me. It just feels more comfortable in the hand. The buttons are there. Just pick up an old PS3 controller. That makes more sense. If you're playing on your mobile phone, there's actually a good argument that the smaller one is, you know, more practical because it's, you know, just pull out and play. So this has been the NES30 Pro. It's not a bad controller. Certainly not a bad controller. But I do think that the shoulder buttons and the thumbsticks here, they've kind of ruined what could have been a better controller. It just seems like they've tried to put too much into too small, too small a format, and it suffers because of that. I do love the design though, so I'm a little bit disappointed with that. Thanks for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. If any of you guys do have this controller as well, please let me know. I realise that some people have did reviews of this and they love it. I just feel that this has kind of missed the mark a little bit. I'll leave a link to the GearBest sales page for this. Thanks to GearBest again. I do appreciate companies like that sending me out, you know, things like this to test. Saves me a lot of hassle. I do appreciate it, so please do check out the listing on GearBest. Do leave a comment as well, guys, if you disagree with me or if you agree with me, and I'll speak to you all soon I've got some more controller reviews coming up. I've got some action camera stuff coming up as well, so stay tuned. Till next time, take care.